The reason Macron feels he does not have to condemn the Charlie Hebdo cartoons that depict the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, with bombs in his turban is because these are the ideas that Macron wants to see take root in the Muslim world. Macron believes that true progress in the Muslim world will see Muslims start drawing those cartoons for themselves and dethroning the sacred symbols such as the likes of the Prophet Muhammad, and dethroning them and rendering them subjects of mockery and jokes. It's important to remember that in the first free and fair elections in the Middle East, after the Arab Spring, Islamic-leaning parties dominated, and the European think tanks and European policymakers received this as a sign of backwardness, that the Muslim world was not ready for enlightenment and ready for progression, and that their clinging to Islam was as a result of socio-economic deprivation. And that's why instead of welcoming the ideas that the Muslim world had clearly demonstrated their preference for, the European capitals insisted that these Islamic-leaning parties demonstrate a commitment to liberal values, promise to promote women to ministries, not just any women, but women without hijab, and promise to ensure that there would be no attempts in order to Islamize the various societies and push more towards this particular direction. In other words, the European think tanks began to explore possibilities to disassociate the ideas of glory and prosperity that are typically associated with Islam and begin to associate those ideas of glory and prosperity to ideas associated with liberal values and liberal secular trends. And the reason Macron is so confident and so defiant in refusing to condemn the Charlie Hebdo publications is because Macron has been told personally by Arab leaders that he is right, that Islam is an obstacle to progression in society, and that these leaders are going to take initiatives and they need France's support in order to de-Islamize the societies and unpin the influence of religion. Moreover, when we see the way that these Arab states compete with one another, they accuse one another of terrorism. And the way that they do that is by spending billions on think tanks in Europe and in the US, and by pointing to every action that might be construed as promoting an Islamic ideology or an Islamic identity as a suggestion that they are not as committed to liberal values as perhaps they are suggesting when they visit these various different capitals. Lastly, the reason why Macron is so keen to unpin the religious influences from society is because Islam continues, in the minds of the Muslim world at least, it continues to present a genuine alternative not just on a spiritual level, but on an economic, social and political level. Islam continues to present itself in the eyes of the Muslim world as an alternative to the systems that Europe and the US have adopted and that they seek to export to the rest of the world. So without unpinning Islam as an alternative in the eyes of the Muslim world, then it doesn't matter how much the European think tanks or European policymakers push for change in the region, Islam will always be associated with that glory and prosperity that will continue to rear its head as a genuine alternative whenever there is a desire to impose a system that the Europeans and the Americans are more comfortable with.